Gather round, my little ones, and let me tell you a tale from long ago, a story of courage and cleverness that has been passed down through the generations. It's a story about our ancestors, the brave folk of Blackthorn Valley, and the young shepherd who saved them all. Now sit close and listen well, for this is a story worth remembering. Long, long ago, in the heart of the rugged Blackthorn Valley, there was a small village nestled between steep cliffs and dense forests. Oh, it was a peaceful place, my dears. The villagers were simple folk, farmers tending their fields, shepherds watching over their flocks, and craftsmen shaping wood and stone with their skilled hands. They lived in harmony with the land, just as we do today, but one fateful day, their peace was shattered. You see, a fierce army, led by a cruel and ruthless warlord named General Vortigern, came storming into the valley. Oh, he was a terrible man, my darlings, with a heart as cold as winter's frost. His soldiers were many, well-armed and battle-hardened, while our poor villagers had no weapons, no soldiers, and no hope of standing against them in open combat. The army surrounded the village, cutting off all escape routes, and Vortigern demanded the villagers surrender their food, livestock, and valuables, or face destruction. The villagers were terrified, my loves. They knew they couldn't fight such a powerful force, but without their supplies they wouldn't survive the harsh winter. Despair hung heavy in the air, like a dark cloud over the valley. But among the villagers was a young shepherd named David Gatt. Oh, he was a clever lad, my dears, with a sharp mind and a heart full of courage. While others panicked, David stayed calm and studied the situation. He noticed that Vortigern's army had set up camp in a narrow pass between two cliffs. It was a strategic position, or so they thought, but David saw something else, an opportunity. Now listen closely, my little ones, for this is where the story takes a turn. David gathered the villagers and said, "We cannot defeat them with strength, but we can outsmart them." He explained that the army's camp was vulnerable to a rock slide if the cliffs above were disturbed. The villagers, though skeptical, agreed to follow his lead. That night, under the cover of darkness, David led a small group of villagers to the top of the cliffs. Using ropes and tools, they loosened massive boulders and piled them precariously at the edge. Meanwhile, another group of villagers quietly herded their livestock into the forest, making the village seem abandoned. At dawn, David stood atop the cliff and shouted down to Vortigern's camp. "You think you have won, but you have only trapped yourselves. Leave now or face the consequences." Vortigern laughed, my darlings, a cruel, mocking laugh. "What can you possibly do, boy?" he sneered. "You have no army, no weapons. You are nothing." But David, calm as the morning breeze, replied, "You underestimate the power of the land itself." And with that, he gave the signal. The villagers pushed the boulders over the edge, and oh, what a sight it was! The ground shook as the rocks tumbled down the cliffs, crashing into the army's camp. Tents were flattened, supplies scattered, and soldiers fled in panic. But the story doesn't end there, my loves. Vortigern's army, already in chaos, was further terrified when the villagers lit torches and charged into the forest, shouting and waving their arms. It seemed as though a much larger force was attacking. The soldiers, already shaken, fled the valley, believing they were outnumbered and outmatched. When the dust settled, the villagers returned to their homes unharmed and victorious. David was hailed as a hero, not for his strength, but for his ingenuity and courage. Vortigern's army never returned, and the village thrived once more, its people forever grateful to the young shepherd who had saved them. To remind us of an important lesson, even in the face of overwhelming odds, wit, strategy, and unity can triumph over brute force. David Gatt's name became a symbol of hope and resilience, a reminder that the greatest battles are often won not with swords, but with wisdom.
Hi, you've heard my story. Now let's talk about me, created by Michelangelo. Go ahead and click on this video to watch it.